Straight ahead on CCX News, renewed debate over whether to close a state-funded art school in Golden Valley, why one lawmaker believes it should get a second chance. Plus, turkey troubles for some neighbors in Brooklyn Park, why the flock seems to be getting bigger. And later, how your teen can get a head start on jobs in science and technology. CCX News starts right now. Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us. Should the Perpich Center for the Arts in Golden Valley have more time to turn things around? That's being debated in the state legislature. A plan to eliminate Perpich, an art school funded by the state, passed the Education Finance Committee this week. In February, a legislative audit painted a grim picture about school enrollment, academics, and management. But now, with new board members and a new executive director, a DFL member of the Education Policy Committee says the school should have a chance to fix its problems.
There is a bill being put together in the Senate that would give them 2 years. And so, we'll see some results in a year, but give them 2 years to really turn around enrollment and management of the organization. And then, if after 2 years they really aren't doing it, then we'll talk about closing the school, the agency.
Representative Ward says despite this week's vote, she's confident the school will get more time to make changes outlined in the audit. Two men, a father and son, suspected of making bomb threats against Jewish community centers in 11 states were arrested Thursday in Israel, but members of Sabes in St. Louis Park, one of the threatened centers, say they are focusing on how the community responded.
The Muslim community, the Christian community, the atheist community, the independent school community has reached out to us to just see how we're doing, to offer any support. That's been the real story here.
Letters of support and offers of help from as far away as California poured into Sabes and the Heiliger Day School. A solidarity wall was created to display them. And Golden Valley Mayor Shep Harris has 2 children in the center's school, and he tells us he is overwhelmed by the response and says despite the threats, he's not afraid.
I'm not going to be one of those people who runs from fear and runs from hate. We're going to stand up to it. We're going to say no to it. And just it's a teachable opportunity for our kids.
Harris says he wants people from all religions and cultures to come together and support each other as a community. Sabes officials tell us even though the suspects are in custody, they'll remain vigilant to keep the center safe. Now to a story that hits close to home for us at CCX News. A former board member of our operations and a longtime volunteer with Northwest Community Television has died. Donald Jackson of Brooklyn Park was 60 years old, and he died earlier this week of a heart attack. We got to know Donald through his work with Quincy's Fresh Beat Clubhouse, a program that worked to provide opportunities to kids with special needs, such as this day of horse riding in Rogers. The program was named after his son, who had special needs. A family member we spoke with says Donald was there for everybody, and he had a heart of gold. A visitation followed by a prayer service will be held Wednesday starting at 10 a.m. at the Washburn-McCreevy Crystal Lake Chapel at 38th and Penn in Minneapolis. A gathering place with a long history in Crystal could soon have a new owner and get a different look. Rostamo's Bar and Grill along County Road 81 is up for sale. The establishment has been around for decades. The owner of 32 years, Dick Rostamo, plans to retire. He says he would be willing to stick around to help the new owner get started.
I remember when I took over, it was the first day I was in here, it was like, you're on your own. And I went, I didn't even know how to work the cash register. It was a different type of a cash register. But that took 5 minutes, and then from then on it was sell a beer, you got some money in the till, and you just kept moving on. So it wasn't bad, but I would stay and help.
Dick Rostamo doesn't consider the sale of his bar the end of an era. He considers it a beginning with the opportunity for a new owner to bring new life to Crystal. A Golden Valley veteran and author is working to spread a message of peace and ensure that other veterans receive the proper care.
When we spend a lot of money on war, whether right or wrong, stuff back here suffers. And you know, for me, it's unconscionable. Veterans who you know, elected or were asked to serve, and then they come back and they're very competent and they have trouble finding a job. And that's what happened to me.
Larry Johnson was drafted into the United States Army during Vietnam and served as a medic. He spent 16 months in Germany, but never did end up in Vietnam. In the days since, he's taken on an activist role. He's walked to raise awareness for better veteran health care, and this past fall, he released a book called 61, which contains 61 different stories that promotes his message of peace.
The real focus was a push for less war. I mean, a push for peace and not getting into a war unless it was really necessary for something.
And you can find Johnson's book online at shipwreckedbooks.com. Brooklyn Park is in the process of deciding what the West Broadway corridor should look like as it undergoes construction for light rail. The corridor will be transformed between 73rd Avenue all the way to Oak Grove Parkway on the north end. Planners say different elements like landscaping and lighting are under consideration. And on the north end, they hope to set the stage for development in the new Oak Grove area.
It will improve the pedestrian realm, the bike realm. It will transform it into a much more multimodal corridor. So I think it'll attract more people because they'll be able to use it more effectively and efficiently than what's out there today. With the enhanced lighting, it should make it feel safer, more accessible.
Jennifer Jordan says enhanced lighting should also make it feel safer. As she said, the work could cost anywhere from $5 million to $11 million. Financial decisions will be made this spring and construction could begin in 2018. In Brooklyn Park, springtime means turkeys are coming home to roost in one neighborhood. While it's a fun sight, it's also causing some turkey troubles. Here's Sonia Goins.
You know, it's a wonderful place to live.
This peaceful Brooklyn Park neighborhood is going to the birds, big birds.
Sometimes they'll be sitting up on the deck there making noises.
This trio of turkeys didn't seem to mind our camera as they grazed for food in the grass. In fact, their friends also got in on the act.
I'm done counting them up as they come through.
Paul Carlson has lived in the Mississippi Villas townhome complex for 13 years.
And they're big. I mean, if you hit a turkey, you're going to have damage to your car.
He says the turkey troubles are getting worse because some of his neighbors are feeding the birds.
So now we have their broods, their batches are like a dozen, which is unusual for any type of bird to have, you know, a dozen babies.
Animal experts say we're seeing more turkeys this time of year because it's spring and mating season is around the corner.
There's no snow anymore, so there's excellent eating. So they're kind of coming out to eat a lot of food because it's a little bit hard in the winter.
Officials say turkeys are becoming common in the suburbs, and it's not unusual to see turkeys in parks and wooded areas. The lack of predators and the abundant food supply makes places like this prime targets for turkeys.
There's tons of turkeys all over.
Meanwhile, Paul Carlson wants new neighbors, ones who don't leave behind a mess.
When they poop, it's quite messy, and you have to clean up your patio every day.
In Brooklyn Park, Sonia Goins, CCX News.
Brooklyn Park does have an ordinance that prevents putting corn or other feed on the ground. Feed has to be at least 4 feet above the ground. Well, up next, jobs for teens interested in science and technology, how your teen can join the Tech Squad next. Then later in sports, Champlin Park, Wayzata, and Maple Grove all reached the semifinals of the state basketball tournament. Now one of them will play for a championship. John Jacobson has tournament highlights. But first, more clouds than sun this weekend, temperatures reaching the upper 40s. Hennepin County libraries are hiring a few creative teenagers with an interest in arts, science, technology, and media to become members of a tech squad. They work with younger students and learn a lot themselves.
Today we're doing cameo work where you basically get to like print out your own stickers. Yeah.
Today it's computer-assisted design as Christine Chukwacha helps younger kids as a member of the Teen Tech Squad. They work in libraries on projects that include science, technology, engineering, art, and math.
For the most part, they are going to be designing workshops for youth in the library, and that can range from anything from 3D printing to using sewing machines to music production.
It's hands-on teaching at 7 libraries in the Hennepin County system aimed at supplementing what students are already learning in school by offering different approaches to the same material.
Well, they might have a computer class in school. We might be doing a coding project. It would look different and it would be maybe more driven towards their own interests than what they'd be picking up in the classroom.
Christine has been part of it for 2 years.
I basically wanted to help empower the youth here, and I kind of saw the library as an avenue for getting the youth more involved.
The teens have a big hand in deciding what each workshop focuses on, whether it's something like music or science.
Part of what we really try to do with all our teen programming is really encourage kids' interests and encourage them to follow what their passions are, because you're really motivated to learn about things you're really interested in.
Teen Tech Squad employees work about 25 hours a month on nights and weekends and earn $15 an hour. They work with adult mentors in a way that gives them job experience.
It's partially a job readiness and job training program in and of itself. We just pay them while we're doing it.
It is learning, but it's different than school.
Here you can learn in different ways, through art, science, math, and more expressive.
The Teen Tech Squad program has employed 71 teenagers over the past 4 years, and they are taking applications now through April 7th on the Hennepin County Library website. Still ahead, a Brooklyn Center couple's unique theater production on adoption. We'll show you. But first in sports, a big honor for a regular contributor to CCX Sports. John Jacobson has details plus state basketball tournament highlights coming up next.
I'm John Jacobson with sports. 2 years ago, the Champlin Park boys basketball team reached the state tournament final with an unbeaten record. Rebels were trying to make that happen again Thursday night against a Wayzata team coming off an impressive quarterfinal round win over Lakeville North. The 27-3 Trojans matched up with the 30-0 Rebels. What a great start for Wayzata. Ryan Lindbergh gets an open three-pointer, and the Trojans lead it 8-0. Champlin Park doesn't take long to close that gap, though. Josiah Strong to Marcus Hill in transition for the layup plus foul. Champlin Park down 3 at 15-12. Jacob Benega was outstanding in the first half for Wayzata. He scored three-pointer here, made 3 three-pointers in the half, and Wayzata's up 34-31 at halftime. Second half, watch the alley-oop dunk coming for Gavin Baumgartner after the steal here for McKinley Wright. Wright's had a big tournament for Champlin Park. That put them in the lead. Then Wayzata comes back. Here comes the alley-oop and the dunk for Baumgartner, who was hampered by foul trouble. He finished with just 9 points in the game. And then Lindbergh, who had a big game for Wayzata, hits another 3. But Champlin Park comes back late. Brian Smith with a huge three-pointer there. He made a couple of them for the Rebels late in the game. And the dunk coming here for Theo John. He followed up the miss. Finished with 18 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 block shots. Another 3 there from Josiah Strong. Champlin Park goes on a late run. They beat Wayzata 70-62.
We got sped up a little bit and played a little fast, and they had something to do with it, but I think we just kind of played that way in general a little tonight, more so than we like to. But that's going to happen. They're really good, and they can cause some of those.
We remember 2 years ago. We know what happened. We want a different outcome. We've been working hard. Coach, like I told you guys this a lot. Coach brings out the second place trophy to every practice to kind of remind us of what happened. And we're going to go out Saturday and try to have a different outcome.
The second Class 4A semifinal featured a rematch from a holiday tournament game as Maple Grove and Apple Valley met for a second time this season. Crimson looking to knock off the Eagles again as they had back in December. Apple Valley starts well. Their All-State guard, Trey Jones, gets them moving. Passes to Mohamed Kone for an open three-pointer. And it's a 16-9 Eagles lead. Brad Davison with a step-back jumper on the baseline for the Crimson, pulls them back to within 4. Davison, though, held to 13 points by the Eagles. Juan Pickford, it's his only 3 of the night here, tying the game up. He leads all scorers with 23 points. Coach Nick Schroeder's team trails at halftime by 4. Early second half, Jack Hutchison with a 3-pointer pulls Maple Grove within 1. They'd later briefly take the lead, but then Apple Valley takes over this game. Eli Hendrickson with a 3-pointer, giving the Eagles a 52-41 lead. Later, it's Jones distributing another of his 10 assists, giving it to Mason Morse for the layup. Apple Valley uses a 16-0 run to make it a 19-point game. They end Maple Grove's hope for a state title with a 77-54 win.
Every tournament, there's going to be a game where you don't shoot well, and you have to find a way to win without shooting well. Unfortunately, that didn't happen for us. We didn't find another way because we didn't shoot well, and Apple Valley shot extremely well. I think they were in 70% most of the first half, and I think they ended at 60%. So hats off to them for playing well.
Maple Grove and Wayzata will play for 3rd place Saturday afternoon at 4 o'clock at Concordia University in St. Paul. Champlin Park and Apple Valley meet for the 4A championship Saturday night at 8 at Target Center. Well, fishing is pretty much a 12-month way of life for this next guy. A man who has passed on his knowledge to others for decades was honored this morning. Tackle Terry Tuma, who's been a regular contributor of ours for over 25 years with his weekly fishing tips in both the summer and winter, was inducted into the Minnesota Fishing Hall of Fame. Terry has conducted seminars on fishing for decades and estimates he's done more than 4,000 presentations in his career. Terry's a regular columnist as well for the Outdoor News newspaper. Friday morning ceremony was a humbling honor for Terry.
And it's really a very humbling experience. It's really an accomplishment. It's just a great honor to be inducted into the Minnesota Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame.
At the ceremony, people who have contributed a lot to the fishing industry honored today. How much does it mean to you to be with some of these other people today?
It's really unbelievable, John. It's something that many times when I started in the fishing industry, something you'd never think you would ever accomplish. But as I mentioned, it's not myself, but it's really the fishing industry, the angling public that has really placed me in this event.
And just like you might expect from the awards ceremony, Terry headed right over to the Northwest Sports Show at the Minneapolis Convention Center, where he's presenting seminars all weekend. A great honor for him. Mike, back to you. That's it for sports.
All right. Thank you, John, and we'll be right back in just a moment. Well, finally now, Weekend Showcase, an original play written by a local Brooklyn Center couple about adoption and what it means to have a family, a home and family, opens tonight. The play is called Home. It opens tonight. That's Friday night and runs through April 1st at the Capri Theater on West Broadway in Minneapolis. And for more information about that, you can go to sparktheater.com. And that'll do it. That's all the time we have for now. We will see you back here again on Monday. Have a great weekend, everyone.